Guys, hello. Darkest Dungeon Ultimate Guide. I decided to make one guide for Darkest Dungeon, and this is probably one of the hardest games in the last few years, and probably the hardest turn-based RPG. So, I was one of the very few people that finished the game in its early state. That was back in 2016, and the game was harder back then, or better to say, it wasn't balanced like now. So back then, victory such as it is, for example, just to complete the game, which is a success enough, was under 1%. Now it's in 2.5. To finish the game in such haste and in strict mode is even less, and it was, when I finished the game, it was about 0.5% back then. There were no guides for the game, no dungeon interactions. You needed to click and fail on everything, in those first 5-6 days till people learn the game a bit and make those guides. So what I want to do now is one ultimate guide for you. So let's start with DarkestDungeon Hamlet. The most important upgrades in order. The first one is Stagecoach, and the first thing that you should invest to is Hero Barracks to increase the size of the hero roster so you can have more heroes over here, more heroes available, and then as soon as you see experienced recruits, invest immediately into it. The next one is the Blacksmith. You go in that order when you upgrade stuff, and most important upgrades in this game are definitely Blacksmith and the Guild. For Blacksmith, everything is important. Weapons for damage, armor, smithing for armor, so you receive less damage and dodge. Furnace, so your weapon upgrades and armor upgrades cost less. This thing is a must and you should rush for it. Now same applies for Guild. Only Guild here is for the skills. It reduces the cost of skill training when you want to train your champions. Like this. And Instructor Mastery that allows upgrading hero combat skills to higher ranks, or better to say, your skills, spells, call them however you like, will hurt more. They'll be more beneficial with each upgrade. The next in line is Survivalist. And Survivalist upgrades are for late game only. Level 5 and above, so upgrade that after you're done with Stagecoach and Blacksmith and Guild. Next thing in line is a Tavern and Abbey. They are there for late game too, so you don't need to worry. You can always dismiss champs under stress that are low level. So for example, if you have something under stress, like let's say this, low level, you just click dismiss hero here, you go back to your Stagecoach and you just recruit someone else, drag him over. Don't worry about dismissing heroes or when low level champs die. That's not your main issue with the game. You'll have way bigger problems than this. The next in line is Sanitarium. Sanitarium is a must and it's for a late game. Here you can treat quirks, or better to say, you'll be able to delete negative quirks or lock in your positive quirks. The choice is yours. I advise deleting negative quirks. It's way much better. And in Medical Ward, you will treat diseases and other physical maladies, or better to say, the very annoying things in the game. The last one that they added through the DLCs, I mean, Nomad Wagon was here, but this one is new. What's the name of this guy, by the way? It's the same, Nomad Wagon. Alright, doesn't matter. They added this through the DLC. What you get out of it are new items, and they cost shards. You need shards to buy them. You earn shards when you complete Farmstead only. Alright, now we go to districts. The newly added thing also. So, when you play and loot stuff, eventually you'll get these small blue things that are called blueprints. With blueprints, you'll be able to build new buildings. Great buildings to have for beginners in order are the mill, so you no longer suffer random hunger checks. Then it's the bank, where you're gonna get 5% more gold per week. Then it's the granary, with 15% more healing when you eat stuff, and some food will be granted for free. Then puppet theater, with idle stress relief in town, increased by 10 per week. If you triggered Crimson Court DLC, my advice, go for this immediately, like I did. If not, then you just forget about it and trigger Crimson Court later on. My advice, please don't trigger Crimson Court until all of your champions are at maximum level with maximum upgrades and everything else. I'll talk about it later, but just don't do it. Now, from champion upgrades in districts, the best champion upgrade there is a training ring. Why? Well, first of all, it covers 5 different champions, so better to say the most champions in a game are covered with this. And the second are benefits. It's accuracy. Accuracy is one of the most important stats in a game, and you should go for this because you will use Houndmaster, Man-at-Arms, Shield Breaker, and Musketeer. They're very good, all of them. Let's speak about stash, or better to say about trinkets. What you should wear, what you should aim for. Dodge and accuracy are probably 2 most important stats in a game. So, in order, what you should pick on your characters is, the first one is a dodge. Sun items usually provide dodge when the torch is above 75. Accuracy, like this. The third in line should be items that have damage percentage on them. Less chance you get surprised also is quite cool, especially above level 3 when enemies begin to shuffle your entire party. So you'll need items like this, minus 20 chance party surprised. When you're not surprised, you don't get shuffled. It's very important. Speed is also very cool on every character. More speed you have, the faster you play, the faster you can burst your enemies. And the last in line of the most important stats is crit chance. And that's about it. Those 6 in order: dodge, accuracy, damage percentage, surprise, speed, and crit is good on every character. Now, as far as the rest of the stats go, like this: protection percentage benefits, health percentage benefits, and move resist benefits, like on boots here. They're only good on a tank that's first in line, that can't get shuffled, that will get damage, that can mark himself, that can defend allies, and those would be Crusader, Man-at-Arms. So position 4 if it's Man-at-Arms, the shield, position 1 if it's Crusader or Man-at-Arms. Healing percentage is very good on Vestal, Arbalest, Antiquarian, and Flagellant classes, but the best thing is definitely Vestal. This thing. Now, stun percentage. Let's find stun. This stun skill chance, it's great on a Houndmaster and a Plague Doctor. Plague Doctor is very, very good with stuns too. Of course, with Blight also. And now we speak about best items in game. They're usually not those very rare items or those unique items on level 5, you know, when you get like boss items and similar crap. The most important items in the game are like this. They provide a lot when a torch is above 75%, and you can always pair them. For example, you pair Sun Cloak with accuracy and crit. So here we got protection, dodge, accuracy and crit at the same fucking time. Alright, now we need to speak about some rules, basic rules and tricks before you embark. So, the first rule is to avoid Crimson Court DLC, or better to say the courtyard. Why? Because if you trigger the DLC, then the enemies from the DLC will spawn in every bloody area there is in a game, and you'll end up with Crimson Curse. And that's not a good thing. You'll always need to apply blood on your characters. If you don't, they'll die from the curse. Second rule is to go to Farmstead with 4 champions on level 2 with maximum upgrades available. Not before that. So you need to go here with champions like this. Now, third rule. There is no such thing as a perfect team composition. There are quirks and OP champions only. We start with champions. Most user-friendly champions in the game for beginners are Vestal, Highwayman, Leper, and Hellion. They're the easiest to play with. OP champs in the game are Hellion, Grave Robber, Bounty Hunter, Flagellant, and Vestal. Avoid Antiquarian. Let me see if I can find her. Should have one Antiquarian in this roster here. Avoid Antiquarian at all costs. This champion is for veteran players only. You pick champs by quirks. Who goes in dungeon. You pick them by quirks and by the amount of XP. Now I need to clarify that a bit more. By quirks. For example, if you decide to go into Co or into Warren's, you don't want Co stress or Warren stress. Let me see if there is someone with Co-phobe, for example, 20% stress in Co's. You don't go with her into Co's. It's simple as that. You go somewhere else. There are specific characters that are good against certain enemies. For example, Occultist deals a lot of damage to Eldritch. As you can see here, 20% more damage versus Eldritch. Crusader, for example. We got a Crusader. Yeah. Crusader deals more damage versus Unholy. Unholy types of enemies can be, for example, found in the ruins. And so on. So read positive quirks, read negative quirks, read those skills from champions, see who deals damage to what type of enemy. Then go to DarkestDungeon Wikipedia, open dungeon interactions, open dungeon enemies, see what type of enemies are there. Are there unholy, eldritch, beasts? And then assemble your team and go in. As I said, there is no perfect composition. Everything can work, but also everything can kill you. So be careful because of negative quirk effects and skills that deal damage to some kind of enemies. For example, later on in later stages, when enemies start shuffling you, very cool characters to have in your party are those that can switch positions. Like, for example, Shieldbreaker, he can go move forward one, move backwards. Jester can do the same. Highwayman can do the same. Bounty Hunter can... Bounty Hunter. Grave Robber can do the same. They can switch positions. That's very important. Or, if you get rotated, you know, if you get surprised, it's best to have a champion that's good on every position, and that would be preferred position. So for example, you take skills that can apply for every position, like for example below defender, command, and this. Now we cover every position. We don't have damage, this is a support man at arms right now, but no matter if your team gets shuffled, he'll always get to play all 4 skills. So for example, you can have him as a support. You know, he'll give dodge, he can protect your allies, he'll give accuracy and crit chance. He's very good with camping skills also, because he provides dodge and crit chance with tactics for the entire party when you rest. And he plays from every position. And then on top of him you'll add Jester, Grave Robber, Shield Breaker, classes that can move positions. For example, Leper is very bad against enemies that can shuffle you. He's practically useless, because he's only good at the spot number 1. When he's good only at the spot number 1 and you know enemies can shuffle, then if you decide to go with a character like Leper is or a Crusader, then it's very smart to add those boots for move resist, like this. You can't go the other way around. The more you advance through a game, the bigger your level is, the harder the enemies are. And you need to get prepared. Again, check Darkest Dungeon Wikipedia, check the type of enemies, then check if there are any shuffling enemies. If they're not, go with those stick positions. If there are shuffling enemies, go with characters that can shuffle, that can switch positions, or that can play every position there is. Now, rule number 4 is try to avoid the thing from the stars, or better to say, this thing over here. It roams the maps, you know, from week to week. It's in different place. Now it's in Coast, it can be in Warrens, Weald, Ruins, no matter. Just avoid it until you reach level 4. Alright, now the final part, the most important part. Embark. Go to the dungeon. Finish the dungeon successfully, and what you should do in a dungeon too. This is my old save when the game was in vanilla state. The first time I finished the game was on this save. And let's say, since this is a beginner's map, we start with beginner's map, say. So let's go with a long map, for example. My advice, you do like 10 weeks, 10, 12 first weeks, 10, 12 first dungeon runs with short maps, and only with short maps. Loot, 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 loot. I'll show you how to loot now. Get as much gold as you can, upgrade, upgrade, upgrade your guild, upgrade your blacksmith, upgrade the stagecoach. I already said that's the most important thing in a game. And then go for medium and long maps. For now, we're gonna go with a long map, and I'll show you how to assemble a team for a long map. Long map, Warrens. I already said, check the enemies over there on Wikipedia for Darkest Dungeon, so you don't have any problems with it, and try to avoid anyone that has phobia of Warrens. Now, we assemble a team for that. Let's say we pick a healer, we pick a damage dealer, we pick some ranged, and we pick some utility damage character here. And now we equipped him. Now what did I said? I said the next thing. Skills in order. Dodge is the most important, then accuracy, then damage percentage, surprise percentage, speed, and at the end it's crit. So we start with Hellion. I don't know what unique items I got here. I won't take OP items, I'll take low level items, because this is a beginner's guide and I wanna show you everything there is. You'll get these items early on and we're gonna play with them. For example, I already said we go with accuracy and damage, yeah, and we go with dodge. Hellion is now perfect. Switch to Man at Arms. We go with stun skill chance, for example. That's good on him for early on, if you can get your hands on that shield. And let's say we give him some damage. With a bounty hunter, What happened here? Practically, I finished the game and I lost 15 out of 16 level 6 champions, believe it or not, in Darkest Dungeon before I could finish the game. And I lost most of my trinkets, so this is all that remained after I finished the game in vanilla. So what you should take on her, you should take dodge, you should take accuracy, and you should take damage percentage. Since that is lacking, we're gonna take something else. We're gonna take, let's say, healing skills for Vestal. And maybe move resistant protection. And for her, let's see these new items that they added here. Ranged and speed, definitely a good thing for her. And ooh, look at this, 15 accuracy if in position 4 and 3 speed if in position 4. Minus 15% stress if in position 4. We just switch them and we put her on position 4 like this. Now we don't go to provisions. Now you picked your team, and this is the first thing you do. You pick your team, then you equip trinkets, and after that you go back and you check if they're fully upgraded. What it means this. Iron Swan is great for the first position, Wicked Hack on Hellion is great, Breakthrough is solid if you get moved. We won't get moved, so we're gonna take something else like Stun. Then we click on her, remove Breakthrough, first position. You won't get shuffled early on, so you don't need Breakthrough to move through position forward 1. Stun is more than enough. So we're done with her. Now we go with him. Basic attack, basically, with Crush. Stun with Rampart. We can use a Defender, and we can use Retribution to riposte. Then you click on him, do the same shit all over, bam. Now we pick her. For her, we use a bit of damage with Judgment, we use Dazzling Light to stun opponents, we use Healing into Healing. Then we go with Grave Robber, she's on position number 4. For position number 4, we pick Lunge, we can pick Throw Daggers, we can pick Poison Darts, we can pick Flashing Daggers, and let's say we pick Toxin Trickery. Now we switch Pickaxe, Lunge, bam, this and that. Shadow Fade is not needed. When you go on higher level dungeons, then Shadow Fade into Lunge is a must, unfortunately. But now for early levels we go with this from position 4. And now when this is done, we go to Blacksmith, see if we can upgrade. There we go, just like that. We upgrade everyone to the maximum. We say Embark, we pick a long map, explore 90% of the rooms, blah blah, provisions. And for a long map, my advice, if you have Vestal, like for example like I have here, then this amount of food is great. If you don't have a healer, then you go with a maximum amount of food. But when you have a healer, you don't need that much food. You can easily pass the entire game with this amount. But let's say we take everything because we have gold, eh? 4 shovels always, 4 anti-venom, 4 bandages, 4 medicinal herbs, 2 skeleton keys, 4 holy waters, and let's say this amount of torches. Laudanum from the DLCs is from a stress over time. Now they added stress over time, and this thing will stop your characters getting stressed. Good for later on in the game, you don't need it in the beginning. So chill and Embark. The last thing I want to show you now is how to play dungeon. Most of the people have one simple problem, and that problem is not the difficulty at all. It's inventory space. Inventory space is where the difficulty is, in your inventory. So what you should do, explore 90% of rooms. So what we need to do is quite simple here. Oh, I took a character with stress, doesn't matter, we'll cure her. What we gonna do now? Now
Wealth beyond measure.
we're gonna roam around the entire map without looting a thing. Scouting is very good when it happens. There's a secret door. But we don't go for a secret door. We never go. You leave this for the last. The most important thing, what you need to do, and what you need to realize when you play this game is to keep this torch above 75 and to explore everywhere you can. So, we don't want to loot anything at all. I repeat, dungeon interactions or Darkest Dungeon Wikipedia, and then you'll see what gives what. We never touch the books. Books are bad for this game. So,
The way is lit. The path is clear.
there we go, more scouting.
Require only the strength to follow it.
We can go for one fight. You should always, when you fight, you should always target the stress dealers and these things that give plagues. Like, for example, she got egg now, which is fucking disgusting.
Palpable fear.
Minus 10% damage and minus 10% maximum HP. It doesn't matter on her, to be honest, because she's there to heal. When they're blighted, you apply anti-venom, heal the entire party. So always go for the things that deal plague damage, diseases, stress damage, bleed damage, and then you leave those that deal physical damage for the last. That's how you're supposed to play the game.
Press this advantage. Give them no quarter. Inspiration and improvement.
Now, as I said, the biggest problem is the inventory, yeah. You don't loot curious, and that's about it. You just don't touch anything at all. The entire playthrough. You just skip everything there is. Kill everything on the map there is. After you're done with killing, you backtrack every curio and loot. What that means? It means that you can throw showels, you can throw anti-venom, you can throw bandages, you can throw medicinal herbs, you can throw torches away, you can throw holy water away. All you need is keys and food. You need some food when you backtrack, because they'll get hungry along the way. So don't waste food for healing when you have, for example, a healer in your party like Vestal is. So, I repeat again, stress dealer needs to die first. And this thing along with them.
Their formation is broken.
You leave the damage dealers
Defensive.
for later. And you always deal damage dealers for later.
A brilliant confluence of skill and purpose.
Now when we don't have any options, we go for easier target, always the target with less HP.
Death waits for the slightest lapse in concentration.
After we finish the fight, I'll show you how to rest and what skills to use when you rest. And that's the entire trick with Darkest Dungeon. It's nothing special. The game is like 50% RNG based. You need to have a lot of luck when you play, you know. When you have bad luck, there is nothing you can do about it. 50% is RNG, 50% is how you prepare for a dungeon.
Destroy them all.
Alright.
As the fiend falls, faint hope blossoms.
You should always take gold and make room for gold when you can. Alright, now we use a firewood to rest.
A spark without kindling is a
And the
goal
first thing
without
we
hope.
search for, if you want to make your life easier, is to prevent a nighttime ambush. Like this, prevents nighttime ambush. The second thing that we search for is AoE party effects, like 10% dodge to everyone and 5% crit chance. When you go against bosses, it's very good. Those single target buffs like Battle Trance on Helion is, like this, 25% damage if in position 1. It's just great for boss battles, but you do that only before the boss. When you roam around, when it's a long map, medium map, without a boss, we use AoE buffs. If there are no AoE buffs, then we go with Stress Heal. That's the entire point of the
In
game.
Radiance, may we find
Prevent nighttime ambush when you rest. And go for AoE buffs. Guys, that's all there is in short about the Darkest Dungeon. It's a very hard game. You need to repeat a lot. You'll need to fail a lot if you want to learn the game. It's one of the best indie games that I ever played. And it's one of the most difficult games to finish. It doesn't matter if you play on Radiant, Darkest Dungeon difficulty, or I don't know what difficulties they added also. Blood Moon difficulty, something like that, where you're time limited to finish the game. My advice is to play the game on Radiant, or better to say on easiest difficulty, because it's hard as hell even on Radiant. But what's good on Radiant, it's not time demanding. You can finish the game within, let's call it 50-60 weeks as a beginner. When you go on Darkest difficulty, you'll need more than 100 weeks to finish the game. That's the main problem. You get resources way much harder and way much slower on higher difficulties. On Radiant difficulty, you'll get the resources faster, you'll upgrade your buildings faster, hence you'll finish the game faster. So just go with Radiant, finish the game on Radiant, and then when you like the game and when you want to experience the game like it's supposed to be, go with Darkest difficulty. This is a time demanding game. You should only play this and focus on this game and nothing else when you play this. It really requires a lot of attention, and that's why it's great. It's a very unique game. I can't wait for Darkest Dungeon 2. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I did the best I could to help you out when you begin this game. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll be seeing you on the next one.